Good day, boxing fans. Very busy weekend for boxing ahead. We've got a lot going on here in South Africa with local rivalries. Then in the States, we've got Sebastian Fundora defending his WBC junior middleweight title against Keith Furman. That is interesting in its own right, but I haven't got time to break down everything. But what I do want to take a moment to talk about is the young, rising, exciting heavyweight star there in the UK, Moses Itauma, who will be putting his undefeated record on the line against the seasoned American Jermaine Franklin. Let's break down the fight. Moses Itauma, an undefeated young southpaw who's been knocking them over. He hasn't gone many rounds before. He hasn't gone 10 rounds even yet in his career, but he's facing another test on Saturday in Manchester. He had his first major test when he fought in his last fight, Dillian Whyte, another fighter has been a staple of the heavyweight division for a long time. Granted, he caught him at the tail end of his career, but he took care of business, made a big statement, took Whyte out in the first round, looked really devastating. But you're going to need a bit more than that. The problem with Moses Itauma is he's never really been tested yet. We don't know how he goes over 10 rounds. We don't know what will happen if somebody cracks him one on the jaw. We don't know how he will react if he's hurt or if he's behind on points and needs to scramble to win. Now, can Jermaine Franklin supply some of the answers to that? I don't know. Now, Jermaine Franklin is more famous for his losses. He beat sort of a run-of-the-mill heavyweights to an undefeated record, faced Anthony Joshua, gave a good account of himself but lost on points, you know, and before that he faced Dillian Whyte. Now he fought Dillian Whyte right after Whyte was beaten by Tyson Fury. So Whyte, you could argue, was sort of ripe for the picking, but he couldn't get over the hill there. He lost the majority decision against Dillian Whyte. Also gave a good account of himself, but in neither one of those fights he looked like he was winning. You know, you could have he got the impression that if he just had an extra gear against Dillian Whyte, he might have gotten over the hill. Anthony Joshua just outclassed him. But Dillian Whyte is the kind of heavyweight who's always going to get those calls. It reminds me a bit, some of you as really hardcore remember years ago, there was a heavyweight called Vaughn Bean, fought Michael Moore, fought Evander Holyfield, fought Vitaly Klitschko, and he gave him all a bit of trouble, but he never got over them. But mostly he would go the distance, or at least go. Klitschko would stop him in 11 rounds, but mostly he'd go the distance, but he never really threatens to win. And I think Jermaine Franklin might be that kind of heavyweight. Big sort of stout guy, you know, he will have a height and a reach disadvantage against Moses Itauma, who isn't a huge heavyweight. He's a proper size heavyweight at 6'4", but he's not a giant. But so Jermaine Franklin is more a short squat sort of guy, shortish for the heavyweight division, not short. But for Jermaine Franklin to win against Moses Itauma, he's going to have to fight better than he's ever fought before. He's going to have to up that work rate. He's going to have to push Itauma back, not give him space to work, and not give him the center of the ring. Because Itauma, southpaw, who can fight orthodox as well, is good at that sort of Mike Tyson style, sort of step over switch punching. And he's quick. He's very quick. You know, I'm reminded of our own southpaw former WBO heavyweight champion, the late Corey Sanders. He's got that sort of quickness, and I don't know if he's quite that quick. It's hard to gauge these things with your eyes, but he's quick. You know, he's quicker than most heavyweights out there that I've seen, and speed kills, as we know. So Franklin to win, he's going to have to find another gear. He's going to have to push Itauma to the ropes. He's going to have to have a high work rate, and he has to be able to take what Itauma throws. You know, so Jermaine Franklin is a good choice for Itauma to fight at this stage, because you need to get the rounds in. Franklin might be the guy to give him that rounds. It doesn't end like he did against Dillian Whyte, but he's not too threatening. Franklin isn't a huge puncher, so he shouldn't be able to land that haymaker, takes Itauma out. So that is what logic would dictate, but you know, boxing isn't always based on logic. But what's going to happen in this fight? Tell me in the comments. Have you got Itauma? Do you think he wins? How does he win? And if you think Jermaine Franklin might spring an upset, let us know as well. I think he's a big underdog, so I would take a bet on that if you're very sure on that. But for me, I think Moses Itauma will keep rolling on. He's not gonna have trouble finding Jermaine Franklin to hit, and I don't think Franklin has a speed to nail him with one off, and I just don't think he has the gears to crowd him and make him uncomfortable to sort of Aaron Barkley him out of a fight. So I think Franklin isn't the kind of guy that's going to give Moses Itauma trouble. The bigger question is he going to go the distance like he always has? He went the distance against Joshua. He went the distance against Dillian White. In the end, Itauma blew away White, and Franklin couldn't grasp the opportunity and lost the competitive decision. But you can't make that comparison because styles make fights. But you can compare the level of performance against a certain quality of opponent, and there Itauma wins hands down. So I think Moses Itauma is going to become the first guy to stop Jermaine Franklin. I might well be wrong. He might be first. He might go the full distance for the first time. But I think Moses Itauma is going to get Jermaine Franklin out of there in around 6 rounds. So I think Franklin will be more durable than White was at that stage of his career. But I'm going Moses Itauma TKO 6. That's what I think happens there. If you watch this far, please remember punch that subscribe button. I greatly appreciate that. It helps the channel a lot. Until we see each other again, remember to keep those hands up.